Hi everyone. This is the first video I'm doing for yoga at the library, and it's going to be a little different than what I've been doing at the library. I really wanted to do something special, and this is one of my favorite classes that I ever did. So this class is an adaptation of an Ayurvedic-inspired class I did in the fall. So it's going to be different because normally in our library classes, we kind of warm up and then we stand up. I don't have us getting up and down and up and down. But in this class, it's almost like a bunch of mini classes in one. So really briefly, in Ayurveda, we are seen as microcosms of nature. So we're all made up of the 5 elements found in nature. And so they say there are 3 main constitutions that most of us fall into. So there's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. I'm a good example of a Vata. And I'm doing this today because I'm a student of Ayurveda, and Ayurveda, I love, looks at us as holistic, in a holistic way. So we get assessed based on physical qualities and mental or emotional qualities. So you could have like a lot of Vata going on in your mind, and then physically something else kind of manifesting. So Vata would be air and ether, and stress, maybe we're all a little extra stressed right now. Stress would manifest as fear and worry and anxiety. So I think there's a lot of Vata energy happening with everyone right now. So this class that's going to follow is going to start with a Vata section and end with Vata to get us centered and grounded. Then I'll get into Pitta. Pitta is really fiery, and stress could manifest as anger and irritability. So for the Pitta portion, we're going to try to match that fire without kind of overheating and do some heart openers. And then for the Kapha, spring is Kapha season. So if you think of water and earth, we get mud, it's sticky, damp, kind of more solid and heavy. So Kapha, the stress could manifest as what we would call depression, or feeling stuck and heavy, kind of unmotivated. So the Kapha portion will have us kind of trying to raise our energy up the body. So that's what we're doing. Welcome back to all my library yogis. You must know how much I miss you and our time together. So even though we can't share the space we usually share, hopefully we can share the spirit of our library yoga. Normally we connect with resources. So I don't have a handout right now, but I'm going to have a couple links underneath this video with some free resources in the community, and feel free, if you know of any resources, to add them underneath. We can all do that, or just say hi, kind of sign in like we normally sign in. And then welcome to any of you who've never had a chance to get to the library at our times. I'm so happy to have you. If you did come to the library, we would have you sign a waiver to kind of protect me and the library from liability. So you continuing with this video is just acknowledging that there are risks of injury inherent with any physical activity. So that's my Vata nature of worrying and being overly cautious, even mentioning that. So as always, everything I say is a suggestion. Please listen to your own body, honor your injuries, and wherever you are now. I'll offer modifications, but if you really love a pose, you can stay with that. You can revisit it if I'm doing something you don't love or your body's not ready for. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before we move on. I think that's it. I'm going to pause and get situated. So I did want to share the books I'm reading with you now. Normally there's a book list associated with this class. I have one book that I downloaded to my Kindle. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll share a quote from. It's called Yoga for Emotional Balance by Beau Forbes. So I downloaded that to my Kindle from the Vermont Library. And then I was listening to this book through Listen Up Vermont. It's Untamed by Glennon Doyle. So I'll read a quote from that at the end. And then right now I'd like to share a quote from Yoga for Emotional Balance before we get going. She says, where do I want to start? You don't need to understand or even process your thoughts or emotions in order to experience dramatic shifts in mood, behavior, and well-being. Conceptual insight is not required for change. By working in a body-based realm, we can bypass this mental interference. We can feel rather than think the emotional experience that heals us. So Beau Forbes is a psychologist and yoga teacher, and she incorporates both in her practice. So to be clear, she is not saying don't talk about things, don't try to process things, but she really advocates movement and breath work to physically change and how we're feeling. So I think that's a really good message right now in this pandemic, to move our bodies in whatever way we can, not to force go run a marathon, to listen to what we need, but to move in some ways to feel better. Okay, I'm actually going to start now. Let's begin by finding a seated position that works for you. That could look like anything. If you find that you have tight hips and when you go to sit with your legs crossed, your knees are way up in the air and your low back is rounding, you really should sit on a pillow, or I always sit on a folded up blanket, even a yoga block, but I prefer a blanket. And that'll just elevate the hips enough to let the knees settle and to keep your natural curve in your low back, which would keep your back happy and allow you to sit here a little longer. So once comfortable, just start noticing what's happening in the breath. No need to try to force a change. Just notice. Maybe rock a little bit on the pelvis to find your most secure and stable base to rise out of. Maybe find the crown of the head lifting, collarbones maybe widen just a tiny bit. That alone might invite a deeper inhalation. And then allow yourself to exhale completely. And then just try to match your inhalation and your exhalation. That's how we'll begin, just by having a deep, even breath pace. Hands can be lying on your knees or thighs. You can bring your hands to prayer at your heart, or if interested, you can join me in Vaikara Mudra. So this is a mudra. It's a gesture of the protective shield for protection from the forces of nature. And to do this, you'll make your hands into fists. Rest the thumbs on the outside of your second joint of your ring finger. And then cross the arms in front of the chest, bringing your right arm closer to the body. Placing your fists on either side of the chest, right under the shoulder joint. And then let your shoulder blades and shoulders settle. Spine is naturally aligned. We'll take a few breaths in this mudra. The mantra for this mudra is attuned to creation's essential unity. I experience absolute safety. This mudra is helpful for instilling a sense of unity with the 5 elements that comprise our physical body, for discerning between safe and potentially harmful environments, for relaxing the muscles of our upper back, for supporting the health of the immune system, and for cultivating a sense of empowerment. This gesture supports us in aligning with the protective qualities of each of the 5 elements. At the deepest level, Vaikara Mudra fosters a sense of our oneness with the natural world. As we recognize that we are composed of the same 5 elements that make up all of creation, we are able to embrace our unity with nature and honor its messages, sensing it as an extension of our own being, rather than as a threat to our safety. Let's take one more breath with this mudra. And when ready, we'll bring the hands to prayer at the heart. From here, we'll inhale, lift the arms up and out into a V. Keep your gaze level if you have a neck or low back injury, or feel free to let your gaze lift, opening the front body a tiny bit. Exhale, bring your fingertips to your shoulders, elbows pull into your waist. And we'll move back and forth like that, inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, drawing the energy down, rooting. This might be a nice place to start breathing through your nostrils only. Maybe layer on an Ujjayi breath on the exhale, where you constrict your throat and make the sound of distant ocean waves. One more round here. And the hands to the heart. Take a few rounds of a modified version of breath of joy. So we'll inhale, the sternum lifts into kind of the thumbs. Exhale, interlace the fingers, push the palms out and away, rounding the upper back, rounding as much as you want, your body wants. Inhale, the heart lifts, palms lift towards the sky. If this is too much for your shoulder joint, feel free to open your hands sooner. Exhale, arms reach away from your torso and circle back to the heart. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, push the palms away. Inhale, everything lifts. No rush. Exhale, circle around and go at your own breath pace. We're all different. Inhale and lift. And release. Let's bring the hands back to heart one more time. I'll invite you to connect with an intention for today's practice or forever. Whatever it is, say it silently in the present tense as if it's already true. Could be, I am connected to the support beneath me. I am centered. As you're ready, we'll move into table position. So that's on hands and knees. Feel free to grab your blanket if you need some little softness under your knees. So we want the hands, wrists under the shoulders, the knees somewhere under the hips. Fingertips are spread wide. First, let's just visualize length throughout our spine. Once you have that, we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. So we'll inhale, the tailbone lifts, the belly drops, the heart starts shining forward, and the head follows. We do not crank the head up to force this. So your gaze might come to the top of the mat or past that. And then exhale, pull the tailbone away from the crown of your head and gently round, scooping the belly up and in. Maybe your gaze comes between your hands. Maybe you're looking at your thighs. And we'll do a few rounds of that at your own breath pace. Never forcing. Moving slow enough that we get to listen to our body. Let's take one more round of breath here. And then as you're ready, we'll move into child's pose. So if deep knee flexion is just not something that interests you or your knees, feel free to keep your hips up in the air above your knees and lower onto your forearms in a modified puppy. If you choose this, don't bring weight onto your forehead or head because you have a lot of body weight up in the air and you don't want to put your neck at risk. So that's one option. You could also put a rolled up blanket between your calves and the back of your thighs, or you could choose something that you know you like. So I'm just going to sit my hips right back and reach my arms overhead. Feel free to bring your knees wide if that feels better to you. Make sure you touch your big toes together. So we have our arms extended, lowering our heart. Feel free to put a block under your forehead or a blanket if that makes it the most comfortable. We're going for a comfortable release here. We'll take a few breaths, enjoying the pratyahara aspect of this pose. So that is withdrawal of the senses. These forward folds are good for stress. And it might make sense in an Ayurvedic perspective because we have to process everything we take in through all our senses. So right now, maybe you can enjoy having the eyes closed, a little reprieve from screens. Let's just take one more breath here. And then we'll slowly make our way back to table. And we're going to make our way up into a modified bridge. So come to standing on the knees. And as ready, step the right foot forward in this boxy lunge. So we have kind of 90-degree angles at our hip and knee. Our feet are in separate lanes. You can bring your hands to your hips. Option is stay here. Or if it's available, the left arm reaches up and your arm can stay slightly forward if that keeps your low back comfortable. Option is stay here with the arm reaching. Or maybe you can reach the left arm towards your midline and pass it, opening your left side body. So we're always reaching tall through the spine. When you're ready to inhale, reach back to center, reaching through the crown of your head, and exhale, the arm comes back to your side. Let's come through standing on the knees to transition to the other side. So left foot steps forward. Everything's about 90-degree angles, so the left knee is over the left ankle. Option to keep your hands on your hips, or the right arm can reach up. Option to stay here, or if it's available, just reach, opening the right side body to where it feels good for you today. When you're ready to inhale again, let's reach to our center, lengthening through the spine and crown of the head. Exhale, release the arm. We're going to come back to table to make our way to a lunge. So for this lunge, our option to go back to the modified lunge, if this is not something you're interested or ready for. So I'm stepping my right foot forward and my left foot back. So my right knee is over my ankle. I'm using blocks to prevent rounding my back too much. I want to keep nice space and length in my spine. So my right knee is over the right ankle. My feet are in separate lanes. I have a long back leg. Let's just take one more breath in this position. And we'll transition through standing on the knees. Might feel nice to kind of shake the wrists out a little bit. And when you're ready, we'll find something like that on the other side. Left foot comes forward, knee is over the ankle, and the right foot reaches long behind us. You can have your hands supporting you on the floor or blocks. Hands are under your shoulders, long spine. We'll just take one more breath here. This time, we're going to transition out of this a different way. We're making our way to a forward half fold. So option to step your foot all the way to meet your left foot, or to take 10 little steps, little hops. Either way, we'll inhale, extend through the spine into a half fold so your torso is parallel to the floor. Exhale, fold fully, bending your knees as much as you need to, let the head go. Inhale, lift halfway. Maybe your hands are still on blocks, maybe they slide up your shins. Exhale, fold fully. Maybe your belly is resting on your thighs, let your head go. One more time. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold fully. From here, we're going to put a bend in our knees. Slide the hands to the front of the thighs with the fingertips down. Engage your pelvic floor and low belly, extending long through the spine. From here, we're going to lead with the heart and crown of the head. Push the floor away. So you're using kind of your roots to push up. All the way. Let your arms fall to your sides. Now we're in mountain. You might want to change your feet position to get your most stable base here. Maybe rock back and forth on your feet a few times to find your most powerful, stable mountain pose. So let's come to stillness, equally weighting the four corners of the feet, feeling long and open throughout the body. From here, lift up your heels and angle them out, maybe an inch or half an inch. So now our feet are kind of straight, or maybe your big toes are kind of slightly in more than you would normally have. I'm going to put a little bend in the knees, and we're going to energetically, isometrically pull the feet apart. So we're going to pretend that we're trying to rip our mat in half. This is going to charge our roots, our root chakra. Maybe this brings your awareness to your skeleton, some different muscles, and really your connection to the floor in a different way. It's very grounding and centering. Charging up our root chakra. When you're ready, release. Maybe lift your heels back where they feel better and more in line. Option is stay here or shake each leg out, kind of getting rid of that charge. Up to you. Back to mountain. From here, we're going to face the palms towards each other as we lift the arms forward right in front of us into Urdhva Hastasana. We rise onto the balls of our feet as we inhale. Exhale, let the arms sweep back down and come onto the four corners of your feet, back in mountain. Let's just notice the difference of how we feel. Inhaling, maybe feeling lighter. Exhale, back to our stable mountain. From here, we're going to sink into Utkatasana, or fierce posture. Let's start by sweeping the arms just right forward in front of us. So your arms are parallel to the floor. And this is a high squat. We don't want to put all of the bend in our knees. We want to also hinge back at the hips so you're sitting into an imaginary stool behind you. And this will prevent the knees from coming too far forward. So take a look down and make sure you can see your toes. Make sure your knees are not splaying apart. I didn't tell you to put your feet together because we're going to push the floor away and come up through mountain. Reach your arms overhead, palms are facing each other. Option to rise up onto the balls of the feet. This time we're going to pull the hands down to prayer at the heart as we sit in our fierce posture. Let's do that 2 more times. So inhale, arms reach up. We come onto the balls of our feet. Exhale, sink into your stable, fierce posture, hands at the heart. Last time, inhale, reach tall. Feeling light. Exhale, feeling fierce. From here, let your arms come to your sides and settle into your mountain pose. Take a few breaths, noticing how you're feeling. So we're entering Pitta, the Pitta portion now. Pitta is characterized by fire. We need the fire to stoke our digestion. So it's good to build that fire, but for Pitta, we want to match that heat without overheating. We also want to incorporate some heart openers, maybe some silliness. So we'll start with breath of joy, some pranayama. So we want dynamic knees. Your feet can be hip width, maybe even a little wider. So we're going to inhale to a 3 count, having a little pulsating in the knees. It's inhale, 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 exhale a sound. So we'll do 3. I'll talk us through 3 and then we'll do 3 altogether. So a total of 6. I guess so I want to avoid speeding this up as we go. We want to keep a nice even pace. So here we go. Inhale, inhale, inhale. More. 2 more. Last one. And now we can just kind of keep that momentum and maybe shake the body out a little bit. Don't hurt yourself. Maybe stomp your feet back and forth. And then come to total stillness and just notice how you feel. Maybe you feel little sparks inside. Let's make our way to Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. We'll start with the right foot forward, left foot back. So it's a forward facing pose. The back leg is angled out in a little bit of external rotation. If this is new to you, I would suggest keeping your legs, hip or your feet in separate lanes, hip width apart. If you look this up in a book, you might see the feet in one line. That could be hard on your knee or ankle if this is new, because we want to have equally weighted feet. My right knee is bent over my ankle, not past it. And I'm centered between my legs. Bring your hands to heart. Option is stay here. Or if it's available and you're in the mood, reach the arms overhead, however that might look for you. Maybe your arms are slightly forward, maybe they're more in a V. Warrior 1 is a pose of strength, stability, confidence, facing life's challenges. Very Pitta. But sometimes we have to accept what is. So we will take humble warrior, circle the arms to reach behind you, interlace your fingers together. Roll your shoulder blades towards each other gently just to open the heart. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you start hinging at your hips, keeping your right knee right where it is. We don't want our knee to come with us forward. So we're folding. Maybe your hands stay close to your body, or maybe they rise into the air. Maybe you come forward 4 inches, or maybe your head's on the floor. Pose of acceptance. As you're ready, maybe imagine a pair of hands helping your hands push into that front foot to come up. Unlace your fingers and let your arms float back up. And when you're ready to exhale, bring your hands back to the heart in prayer. And then step the back foot forward to meet the front. As you're ready, we'll take something like that on the other side. Warrior 1. If you're new or you have any injuries, I always like to keep my feet somewhat hip width apart. The left knee is over the ankle. You're equally weighted across your feet. If this is uncomfortable, you can always step your back foot forward a bit, have a shorter stance, or out to the side a little more. Start with hands at the heart. Stay there or lift your arms up in Warrior 1. Sometimes the challenges we face are outside, but sometimes they're within ourselves, facing our inner demons. And that takes humility, so we will circle the arms behind us, interlace the fingers. do your version of humble warrior. Maybe you're just opening the heart slightly, staying tall. Maybe you can hinge. Hands either stay close to the body or float up. Pose of acceptance and humility. As you're ready, slowly come back up, unlace the fingers, let your arms float back up in the sky. Ready for the next challenge. Hands come to heart, step your back foot forward, and we'll make our way back down to our knees in table. Once you're there, you can just gently start wagging your tail side to side, getting a little bit of a lateral move in the spine. Come to a neutral table. Why don't we all come to standing on the knees? So option now, this next move I'm going to do, or series, is a Tibetan Sun Salutation. And I learned it from my favorite yoga teacher in California, but I'm going to offer a substitute here. If you've never done a downward facing dog, I wouldn't suggest doing it now. So when I say downward facing dog, you can substitute a neutral table, because we'll be moving through puppy and cat, Halloween cat kind of thing. So even the puppy is kind of advanced. It's reaching the arms way overhead. It's a lot to ask of the shoulder joint. It's a big heart opener. So you can do modified puppy, coming down onto your forearms. Or you can just kind of undulate the spine, getting the movements and some of the benefits without putting yourself at harm. So we are going to start either standing on the knees, or if your feet are flexible and your knees can tolerate deep flexion, we're going to curl the toes under and sit back on the heels. So some of us may start here with hands at heart. Some of us may start standing on the knees, and then the tops of the feet would come down to the mat. So either way, the rest of it can come from either one of those starting positions. We're going to inhale, circle the arms out and overhead. Exhale as we bow into puppy, reaching the arms forward, lowering the heart and head. And then we'll inhale, slide the hands back towards where they would be for table and round the back. Inhaling across the upper back. And then either stay in neutral table here or exhale into downward facing dog. Up to you. Inhale back into that cat, rounding the upper back. Exhale into puppy, arms reach overhead. From here, we're inhaling, sliding the hands towards us, engage the pelvic floor and low belly, sweep arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Either you stay tall, standing on the knees, or curl the toes under and sink down. Two more like that. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, bowing towards puppy. Inhale into cat, rounding as much as you want. Exhale, neutral table or downward facing dog. Inhale, cat. Exhale, puppy. Engage the pelvic floor and low belly, slide the hands in, inhaling, arms circle overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale, circle the arms up and out. Exhale, puppy. Inhale, table, rounding into a cat. Exhale, either neutral table or downward facing dog. Inhale, cat. Exhale, puppy. Engage the pelvic floor and low belly. Slide the hands. Inhale, arms circle up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Staying tall or sinking down. Pause here for a breath. And as you're ready, we'll all make our way to either a knee down plank or a full plank, up to you. And nobody's watching, so you can either take a slow yogic push up down to your belly or come down however works for you. All the way down, we're gonna slide the hands to our low ribs, so our nose is just hovering above the mat. And from here, tops of the feet are on the mat, so the legs stay grounded. The tops of the feet stay grounded. We're reaching long through our spine. Elbows shine back, so the shoulder blades kind of pull towards each other and down. As we start reaching the heart forward and up, using the strength of our upper back, our whole back, and not really using the arms to thrust us up. The arms are supporting us into a little cobra. And then exhale as you lengthen through your spine and lower. We'll do 2 more. Opening the heart. Inhaling up into a baby cobra. Exhaling, lengthening down. Inhale, the heart is coming forward and gently up. And exhale, release. Make a pillow with the back of your hands for your forehead. Maybe wiggle your pelvis side to side just a little bit. Get some length in the body. And then we'll do a quarter of a locust. So lift your right leg. So a nice long leg. We're not putting a bend in the knee. And then release. Other side, left leg. Release. Let's do that again. Right leg lifts and lengthens. Release, left leg. So option now to do that again or to lift both legs. So it's half locust with the bottom body. So your top part of your body, your head is down, grounded. Okay, everything's down. So option now to do any portion of that, a cobra, one leg, both legs, or a full locust. So we'd reach the arms to our sides. Reach long through your whole body. And if it does not bother your low back, peel up into a locust, opening the front body, strengthening the back body. Exhale as you lengthen down. 2 more times. Again, you can do one leg or the whole body. Exhaling down. This is the last one. And release down. Slide your hands back next to your low ribs. We're going to push ourselves back into a table. Once we're all there, let's visualize length throughout our spine. Once you have that, we'll take a few cat and cow. So tailbone lifts, belly drops, heart shines forward, gaze maybe looks at the top of your mat. We're not forcing our neck anywhere. And then reverse that. Let's just take one more round. Inhaling, arcing the spine. Exhaling, rounding. And then we'll come to neutral table. And we'll find our way to standing. No rush. Okay. So let's start by having our mountain feet again. Give yourself a moment. And when ready, we'll reach both arms out and up so the palms are facing each other. And we'll take just a gentle crescent moon. So let's reach the crown of the head over to the left, opening the right side body. Inhale back to center. And exhale over to the right, opening the left side body. Inhale back to center. From here, we're gonna step the legs wide, toes angled out, arms come into cactus, arms for goddess. So, we just maybe built up a little heat, and if we're in Pitta mode, this is maybe letting us air out a little bit, discharge some of that heat with some space around our body. Let's bring the hands, we're gonna hinge the hands down, fingers point down on the inner thighs, or my palms are resting on the top of my thighs. And I'm gonna dip my right shoulder for a little twist, and just look, maybe you're looking in the line of your left knee, maybe you're looking behind you. Doesn't matter if you're listening to your body's needs. Inhale, lengthen through center, through your spine, other side, so the left shoulder dips down. And your gaze, you're twisting to wherever feels perfect for you. Inhale, lengthen back to center. Option to stay here or to kind of toe heel your feet a little wider. And I'm gonna do kind of like a skating lunge. So your feet can be dynamic. You really want to watch your knee that you're bending. You wanna make sure that knee is tracking in the same line as your foot. And it's not going too far past. It's probably gonna go past your ankle now. So you can just kind of sway back and forth. Maybe you have your opposite hand. So if I'm coming towards my right foot, my left hand is going to touch down. Maybe I'll pause. So I'll get a little, nice stretch in my inner thigh. Maybe you even twist. So my left arm comes down, my right arm reaches towards the sky behind me. And then I switch. Keep going. Really graceful. Maybe you do some spirit fingers with the hand that's up behind you. Let's do one more in each direction if you chose to do these. Whew. And then from here with a fold, we'll just kind of toe heel the feet in so they're in a comfortable place for you to come up. I like to protect the low back. So the same way we came up at the beginning, I'm gonna engage my legs, engage my pelvic floor, up and in a little bit, belly pulls up and in, push into my thighs to lead with my heart. Come back to standing. We'll pause here for a breath or two. Then we're gonna make our way down to the floor. Now this is a lot of up and down that I don't normally do, but we're trying to do little kind of mini sessions for different elements, different constitutions. So we're ending the Pitta portion with a kind of constructive rest kind of position, restorative half frog. So I like to lay a blanket across where my hip and the bones around my knee would be. So we're gonna lie face down. And I guess I'll start with my left foot, my left leg, bending, externally rotating. My left knee is going to be at the highest at my hip height. It could be lower. I'm not trying to touch my shoulder with my left knee or anything. And then I'm gonna lay face down, or maybe I'll turn and rest on one cheek, up to you, what's available to you. So you can make a pillow with the back of your hands and let your forehead come down, or lay with your head to the side. What's important is that you do not try to force. So my left knee's out to the side, my left hip, my pelvis is not resting flat on the floor. So I have a big space under my left thigh, my inner thigh, because this hip, I'm not trying to force my hip down. I'm just letting everything kind of slacken and settle. A little bit more pratyahara. Take a few breaths here, totally releasing, surrendering to the support of the earth, entering kapha mode, getting really grounded. trying to lose some of that fire that we just built up. So we feel more like that kapha energy of earth and water. Let's take one more breath here. And then gently, mindfully, no rush, carefully just transition to your other side. Make any adjustments with a blanket or whatever you need to be comfortable here, because we'll be here for a minute or two. The right knee comes out to the side, externally rotating, and then finding your most comfortable release onto the mat beneath you. Maybe forehead down, maybe you look to the other side. Again, not forcing the pelvis to kind of the two hip points of the front. We're not trying to force them to touch. Keep whatever space is under that front right pelvis hip point. And then over the few next breaths, maybe you'll find some release. But we're really just trying to let some muscles do nothing, if that's possible. And then when you're ready, gently, carefully make your way to lying flat. And then carefully make your way to table. And then take your time making your way to standing. No rush. So we're in kapha mode right now, and just in case we don't feel heavy enough and grounded, let's really cultivate that feeling with an elephant pose. So elephant is kind of in between like a wide squat and malasana and a deep squat. So instead of malasana, garland pose, we're gonna bring the legs kind of wide, not super wide, but not under the hips. The toes angle out. And we're gonna take a tall squat to wherever it feels good, just kind of sinking the hips back and down. And then if it's available to your upper back, and actually if it's available to your shoulder joints, so option to bring your hands in prayer and keep your elbows apart, or bring your whole forearms together so your elbows come together. So you're really opening the upper back. And this is our elephant trunk. Just feeling really heavy. And then we'll just float out of this. We don't have to stay there all day. Bring your feet back under your hips. So kapha, the earth and water element, that's what we're in now, the spring, mud, sticky, can just feel heavy and stuck and unmotivated. So we want to lift the energy and move a little more. So I thought we'd do a power hara. So for that, we kind of bring our elbows out and bring our fingertips to our shoulders, like so. And we want to have dynamic legs again. So your opposite heel, when you twist, is going to come up to protect your knees. And I'm going to inhale, then exhale with sound, exhale with sound. And here's another one where we don't want to speed as we go. It's really easy to do that. So this is going to elevate our energy, but we don't want to get too elevated. So we're going to keep it at a pace. So here we go. It's ha, 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 ha. 3 more. Ha. 1 more. Ha. Ha. And from here, let's just keep it going. Have your arms just kind of get heavy and get the momentum of your body. Just a nice little twist to take it down, slow it down. And hopefully that kind of lifted, energized us in a nice, gentle way. Got our voice going. So now we're going to head towards Warrior 2. So Warrior 2, you want to, let's start in 5-pointed star. So we're facing the long end of our mat, our toes are angled out, and then we're going to bring the left toes in so they're facing the edge of our mat, and the right toes out towards the short end of our mat. So you can change that back foot so it's angled in slightly. Make this feel as comfortable as you can for both of your knees. I'm going to reach my arms long, but keep my shoulders relaxed. So my heart and my hips are facing forward to the long end of the mat, but then that right leg in front is facing the short end. So what I think is important is that we watch that right knee. We don't want this knee rolling in towards our midline. We want to keep this in track with our right toes, so the knee's bent over the ankle. So if you feel like you're just not flexible enough to have this opening here, step the back foot, the left foot, forward towards the long end of your mat, or maybe even close your stance a little to protect this front knee, because it's all a process. We do not have to force ourselves into these poses. The benefits come in being in everything, having everything in the proper place, and not forcing our body into contraction because it gets scared. Okay, so find your foundation, arms are open. So your gaze can really go anywhere depending on your neck, but if it's available, let's take our gaze over our right fingertips. Warrior 2. So if it's available, and if you're interested, let's turn the right palm up and float into peaceful warrior. So there's no goal here. Your hand can come a few inches. It can be reaching behind you. You can tuck your chin if your neck doesn't like this. The back hand, the left hand gently, really gently comes down the leg or wraps around and rests on the right hip. So we're getting a lovely opening for all the intercostal muscles between the ribs, which could be really helpful if you have asthma or something like that, to increase your breathing capacity. So kaphas can have congestive kind of issues. When you're ready, let's just settle back into our Warrior 2. And from here, let's take extended side angle. So the right forearm gently comes to the right thigh. And all we're going to do today is reach the left arm up towards the sky. So maybe even exaggerate lifting your whole torso, so you get that action of lifting. So our bottom is planted, our feet are planted, and it might be easy to kind of let the top get planted too. And then we're losing all the integrity around our spine. So we're going to reach up. One more breath. When you're ready, we'll just make our way back to Warrior 2. And let's just come out of everything back to mountain just for a moment. And then transition to that same series on the other side. So we'll start in Warrior 2, however that works for you. What's important is that left knee. So if you find it rolling in, change the back foot, close your stance. Arms are long and strong, palms facing down. Settle your shoulders, your torso is centered between your legs. Maybe your gaze can look over your left fingertips. So always an option to stay here, or we can turn the left palm up and float into peaceful warrior. Nowhere to look. We don't have to be looking at the ceiling. We can tuck our chin, protect our neck. Maybe your back hand comes down the leg or wraps around and hangs out on the left hip. And peaceful warrior. When you're ready, we'll float back to our warrior and find our way to extended side angle. So same thing, the left forearm gently comes to the thigh, and we're gonna focus on that lifting action. So we're not settling, we're not bringing the arm overhead, we're reaching the fingertips up towards the sky. Lifting action. One more breath here. And then we're gonna open up back into our warrior two, and then just step out of it back to mountain. And then we're gonna come down to table again. So I'm gonna offer the option of table or plank to get to a side plank or a version of side plank. So if you're doing a full plank, you know how to do that. You'd step one hand in and roll over either onto one foot or stagger your feet. Otherwise, the rest of us are gonna bring the left hand in towards the center of the mat and sweep the left foot behind us as we step the right foot out in a long line and open to the long end of our mat. That same kind of action that we just did in extended side angle. Really strengthening our side body to reach. When you're ready, come back to center. Those of you who are doing a plank might want to take a break and then go back into your plank on the other side. So my right hand is coming in towards the center of the mat. I'm sweeping my right foot behind me. So it's kind of a version of a side plank. And opening my heart to the other side. Lifting, reaching through those top fingers. So yes, we're stable, we're connected to the earth, and that gives us the capacity to reach, to push off, have a foundation to build from. When you're ready, we'll come back. Let's all meet in table. And we're going to transition onto our back. So right now, I would not advise to have anything under your head. We're heading towards a bridge. Maybe have a block nearby for what's coming. So for bridge, we're going to start by bringing the knees in to get some length in your body, your back. Then we'll bring the feet back to the mat, probably closer to you than you would normally have for knees standing. We want to avoid our knees swaying apart. We're going to do a 4-part breath move with a bridge. So the first two, we're not coming into bridge. Number 3, we lift our hips. Number 4, we put our hips back down. So it looks something like this. Inhale, puff up the belly so your low back arches away from the mat. Exaggerating your belly lifting. And then exhale, sink that all down. So you'll feel kind of like your side core getting low. And then that just gets us ready. Tailbone starts angling up. Inhale. Arms are long by your sides. So no weight goes onto your neck. And nowhere to go here. We're not thrusting our hips up. It's just a gentle inhaling, lifting one vertebra at a time wherever you go. And exhale, lower down. So if this bothers your neck in any way, don't do it. Just do the first two and repeat them. So here we go. We're going to inhale, lift the belly. Exhale, sink it all down. So kind of the side low back gets low. Inhale, lifting into whatever kind of bridge. Maybe it's 1 inch. And exhale, come down. So you feel this nice kind of wave action. Lifting our energy. So inhale, belly floats, balloons up. My whole back is arcing up. Exhale, sink it down. Inhale into bridge. And exhale, one vertebra at a time, really slowly So you can feel that wave action, maybe even in your organs. Let's do this one more time. Inhale, belly puffs up. Exhale, sink it down. Inhale, one vertebra at a time, lifts. Exhale, everything comes down. From here, it might feel good to pull your knees into your chest and rock side to side. So option to stay here, especially if you have any back issues. But if interested, if you've done this before, you can take a block and we would head towards a supported shoulder stand. So we would start in supported bridge. And if everything feels stable and supported and everything's in the right place, your support is in the right place under your sacrum and low back, or pelvis, not low back. You can lift one leg at a time to see how that feels, or you can lift just your legs in the air here for a nice little inversion of gravity to gravity. So option to have knees in the chest, legs up in the air to lift the energy, or support yourself with a block under your hips, sacrum. And if everything feels cool in your low back and neck and you have your shoulder and arm support, you can reach your legs to float up into the air in a supported shoulder stand. And we'll just take a few breaths in whatever you chose. Now you can always stay in a pose if you love it. You can gently start making your way out of, especially the supported shoulder stand. Get your feet back on the floor. Make sure you're even and supported, and then lift your hips and remove the block. If you chose the supported shoulder stand, maybe draw your knees in. And then we'll all roll over onto our side to come to seated one more time for just a final couple poses to treat Vata, to really get grounded again, to ground and center us before we come to Shavasana. I'm going to fold up my blanket to have under my hips as I sit. So find your most comfortable seated position. We're nice and tall. So option, we're going to do some version of eagle arms. So maybe you cross your arms and hold on to your shoulders. That's a nice opening across the upper back. Or maybe you can wrap your arms all the way around. That's a lot to ask of your shoulders. So if you have a shoulder injury, just give yourself a little hug. Otherwise, fingertips come into the hand, base of the hand. And then let's start by compressing, pulling your biceps down, compressing all this area in your chest in front of your armpits. And then relaxing, just letting your elbows kind of float and lift, not far. So your elbows would never go past your shoulder height. Mine are not even coming close. And just breathing however feels good to you here. And then let your elbows settle down and unwind. Take peace fingers and just bring your hands to the sides. This is Beau Mudra, connecting to the earth. And then we'll take something like eagle on the other side. So switch, I think, what did I do last time? So left arm comes underneath this time, I think. So either hug yourself or wrap all the way around. Let's compress around our chest and armpits. So pull your elbows down. And then when you're ready, release. And just let your elbows float up really gently and slowly. Noticing how that feels in your shoulders and upper back, neck. And then release everything. Beau Mudra, bring your hands to the side. Maybe just try to pull tall through your whole spine, crown of your head, open your chest, let your collarbones widen. Let the hands hands come back to the thighs. We're centered and grounded. And just for one more breath work before we make our way down to our backs, let's take a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. Alternate nostril breathing, you use your right hand, the index finger and the middle finger come into the base of the thumb, the ring finger and pinky pull away, and the thumb pulls away. If that's awkward for your hand, just have your pinky out. I'll talk us through the first 3 rounds, and then you can go at your own pace for 3 rounds, and then let your hands fall to your sides and take a few rounds of breath there, noticing how you feel. So here we go. I'm going to close my eyes as I do this. I'm going to plug, and if you have asthma or you're congested, just imagine your breath traveling down one side of the body and in one nostril. Don't restrict your breathing if that makes you uncomfortable. So you can imagine it or practice. Here we go. I'm going to plug my right nostril and inhale through my left. Plug my left and exhale through my right. Stay here. Inhale through the right nostril. Plug the right nostril with the thumb and exhale through the left. We're going to stay here. That was 1 round. Inhale through the left. Close off the left nostril. Exhale through the right. We're going to stay here. Close off. Exhale through the left. That was 2. Stay here. Inhale through the left. Close off the left nostril. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close off the right. Exhale through the left. That was 3. Let's take 3 more rounds. As you're ready, make your way onto your backs. So we're heading towards Shavasana, or final resting pose. Some of you may not like lying flat on your back. The last thing we want to do is get hurt in final resting pose. So you can put support under your knees. You can prop your calves and feet up on a chair. Lie on your side, your stomach. Just make sure you're in a position where you're not suffering, where you can relax for these last few minutes. So as you find your way into Shavasana, I'll share the other book I'm reading, available through Vermont State Libraries. I was listening to the audio version on Listen Up Vermont. It's called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. It's a bestseller right now. And she just has a way to put things that, that we already know into some nice words. So I'll share this part. She says, "Be still and know." I've read that verse many times before, but it struck me freshly this time. It didn't say, pull your friends and know, or read books by experts and know, or scour the internet and know. It suggested a different approach to knowing. Just stop. Stop moving, stop talking, stop searching, stop panicking, stop flailing. If you just stop doing, you'll start knowing. So I'll invite you now in Shavasana to increase your ratio of breathing to a 1 to 2. So that means you'll inhale to a 4 count and exhale to an 8 count. Or if that feels strenuous, a 6 count. Just increase your exhalation. Inhaling to 4, 3, 2, exhaling to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do that a few more times, finding the right ratio that works for you with an increased exhalation. As you continue this breath pattern, I'll add another layer. I invite you to listen intently to the sound of this chime. Again, bring your complete awareness to the very last trace of sound from this chime. And we'll do that one more time, listening to the very last trace of sound. I invite everyone to stay in this restful position as long as you want. You can stay here for 10 more minutes, take a nap. I would just like to say namaste and thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, everyone.